What's one thing you want to share with the people?
Keep reading, because reading will build up your brain. And the only way to be productive is to face challenges with a positive attitude. Because that's the only way you're going to live your life to your fullest extent. Because your life is full of challenges. The only way you're going to face them is for you to be happy about it and face them head on.
Peace.
Peace and blessings, family. Sister Aja Lee. My apologies for not responding to comments in the timely fashion that I always prefer, because I so value you and your insights. You've helped me to grow into a better person than I was when I first got to social media. I am so grateful for you. But I had a lot of things happen over this past couple weeks. The top tragedy is the loss of this young brother, Ilijah Tafari McCullough, who was, oh my God, I don't even know what to say. He just struck me the moment I met him. Through step, striving together equals progress, and it was decades ago. He just transitioned. He was not even 21 years old yet. He would have been 21 in November, and he died just the beginning of May. And what struck me when I first met him, he must have been about, I don't know, maybe 11 years old, or maybe even younger. That was just how amazing he was as a person, is just how brilliant. There was a step event. That's the way that I would attend step events or got to know the step brothers, is our son, Ilijah, with an E, and Elijah's name was spelled with an I. But that was also one of the things that made me feel closer to him, even though I didn't know him in depth that way, but it didn't matter. I knew if I know you through step, you're my family, where there's such a closeness, there's such a connection based on shared principles of doing the best for Black people, that this is the first place that I went to with Dr. Shi when I first, came with him to New Jersey, was a step event. And I met Ilijah, became aware of Ilijah at one of these events where he was spitting poetry. And his poetry it still is extraordinary, and especially for such a young man to get up on stage. And he had at the funeral, for him, everyone was mentioning his smile. Now, that wasn't what I noticed about him first. What I noticed about him first was his passion and his intensity and his realness. That would fuel his smile. But for me, I see people smiling all the time, and I'm not overwhelmed by it, because some people are real good at it and they're full of crap. I saw the sincerity of his soul, which always reflects the sincerity of the mother and the father. And this is his mother. I only know this Sister Janet. And she would read her poetry. Of course he wrote poetry. He grew up with Mom. And he loved his mom. I understand that was one of the things. He had no hesitation in just, crediting her and being amazed by her. So it's a heck of a feat to manage where your child still likes you. Our son loves me. There's no doubt about that. But definitely I've supported, he ain't no fan of me. He doesn't dislike me. He knows what I'm talking about is real. It's just that, my subject matter is so intense that it's not for those. And I don't blame him because he grew up around me talking about Fukushima on a constant. And there was no way for me to not talk about it and for him to not hear. Because we ain't rich people. We ain't got no daggone McMansion up in here. All right? And I needed to come and do my best to save you and to stop this increasing deluge of early demises out here. Now, when it comes, and I'll come back to dear Sister Janet again, but when it comes to Elijah's demise, it was hard for me to say anything for a little while because that connection I felt towards him, it's like losing my own family. And so this is different than when I come and I speak on other people passing and transitioning. I feel for you because you are my family. But when I know you, then you become connected to my neural network on a personal basis. When I have time to notice your distinct attributes, you're a part of me. And so I didn't cry at the funeral, but I feel like crying now because I'm speaking my true soul's feeling about this young man and thereby about all of our young men and young women who I know are in danger. Now, I'm not here to make any, calculations about what happened. I know he didn't take his own life. His mother found him suddenly one day, and I don't want to get into the details because I personally know Sister Janet, and I'm going to call her in a little bit of time when everything is sort of calmed down to be there for this amazing sister. So I don't want to speculate over her personal heartbreak and what happened. But it's the same type of scenario that I've been warning us about can come from man-made radiation. That's all that I'll say on that score. But I just wanted you to understand that, I'm okay now, so I'm going to do other shares. That's why it's taking me time to come on back and say anything, because I just needed to process. I needed to work through my heart and soul and say goodbye in the quiet of my own mind, in the quiet of my own thoughts. Because it's just as profound. I'm a mother, and I almost lost our son, Elijah. So I know that trauma and how it's like an earthquake in your entire being that takes over. It's that pain. It's in charge right then. And so I'll be, to the best of my ability, here for Sister Janet. And I'm just so happy to have her as part of my family. I realize because sometimes I can be quite the hermit because I'm real happy in our home. And I have so much to do between writing and all of my, excuse my phone, writing and all of my, now they call it prepper. Back in the day, as my Dr. She said, we just called it grandma, okay? Where you're doing traditional homemaking, but you're doing it in a way that is if you were set out somewhere on the prairie and all you have to rely on is yourself. And I forgot because our own son is older now. And so that every Friday connection to STEP is more, like pulled away. But when I was there with everybody at the services, and I don't want to call it, Dr. Shia said, and I agree with him, there's no such thing as a beautiful funeral when someone is gone and they're only 20 years old. My phone is like blowing up right now. When someone is only 20 years old, that's not, I'm not saying it wasn't. The sister, she's an artist. She knows form and function, and so it was seamless. And that was a beautiful testament to who Ilijah was, because he was just, he was a doer. He was a music producer, but for real, had his own studio with his friend, and it was just like people were sad. It was, but and everyone wore white, which I that's appropriate as far as I'm concerned. And it was, it's a tradition in many different societies, and I support that. I support this sister. Wow, finding a way to heal from all of this. She has 2 other sons, brother Hannibal and little brother Jabari. Beautiful also sons, but that will never make up for losing one. Each one is different, and each one is impacting your life in unique and fantastic ways. So it's not like, oh, you lost your pet, I'll get you another pet. No, that's not a human being that has, like, I'm connected to this magnificent young man emotionally, spiritually. And I wasn't his physical mom, even though for me, and I've talked to other sisters connected through STEP, all them children up in there are ours. We see them that way. They've been strong and upright in front of us, so that I myself, I attribute, to Dr. She, but also to STEP, my ability to say, let me write some books. Because you look at such upstanding young brothers and you believe we've won. My positivity in the face of all that these people do is because of striving together equals progress. Just wow. Woo, you have no idea how rare and precious it is to meet people who are about it. Because the world is filled with some funky folks, and ain't none of them up in here. Okay? So my condolences and ashe for the loss of an amazing young man. I love you, family. Peace and blessings. Thank you, Sister Janet, for moving all of us forward with incredible young boys.